In January 1959, an expedition team entered the northern Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. This was a landscape of extreme cold, where winter winds regularly pushed temperatures far below freezing. The group of 9 was led by Igor Dyatlov. These were university students and graduates, but they weren't tourists. They were certified survivalists with extensive training in high-altitude skiing and cold-weather navigation. Photographs recovered from their own cameras show the group's state of mind just days before they died. They appear relaxed and well-provisioned, even as they prepared to camp in negative 25-degree conditions. Their level of expertise meant they were prepared for the environment. Their disappearance cannot be explained by the kind of errors typically associated with inexperienced hikers or standard exposure. When the group failed to return on schedule, a massive search operation was launched. Rescuers eventually located their campsite on a slope known as Kholat Sakal, but the site was abandoned. The condition of the tent introduced the first major anomaly. This schematic shows that the heavy canvas had been slashed open from the inside. The occupants didn't use the entrance. They cut their way out from within. Footprints led away from the ruined tent toward a forest nearly a mile away. Despite the sub-zero temperatures, the tracks showed that some of the hikers were barefoot, while others wore only socks. For survival experts, destroying your only shelter and running into the dark without footwear is a death sentence. This suggests a catalyst so terrifying it overrode their most basic survival training. The search party tracked those footprints down the mountain's incline, following the path of the flight toward the distant tree line. At the edge of the forest, beneath a large cedar tree, the searchers found the first 2 bodies, frozen and partially clothed. Evidence at the tree suggested the group was fighting to stay alive. Branches were broken off high up the trunk, and the remains of a small fire were found nearby, proving they were still lucid enough to seek warmth. While autopsies of these initial victims confirmed they died of hypothermia, the natural cause of death doesn't explain the unnatural circumstances that led them to that tree in the first place. It took months to locate the remaining members of the group. They were found deep beneath the snow in a nearby ravine, where the drifts had protected them from the wind, but hid them from the searchers. The autopsies for this second group were significantly different. Investigators found massive internal trauma, including crushed ribs and a fractured skull. The force required for these injuries is comparable to a high-speed car crash, yet the skin showed no external bruising or defensive wounds, and there were no signs of a struggle with any other person. Other anomalies were noted. 2 victims were missing their eyes, and 1 was missing her tongue. Perhaps most difficult to explain was the presence of radioactive isotopes found on some of their clothing. The combination of internal crushing force, the absence of human attackers, and localized radiation creates a scenario that is difficult to reconcile with any standard mountain accident. One prominent theory is a localized slab avalanche. A sudden displacement of heavy snow could have struck the tent, causing the hikers to flee in a panic, and potentially causing the injuries found in the ravine. A more complex theory involves infrasound. It suggests that wind blowing over the mountain shape could create low-frequency sound waves that are inaudible but physically potent. These waves bypass the ear and directly stimulate the nervous system. Exposure to infrasound is documented to cause intense, irrational fear and physical disorientation, which could explain the group's frantic exit from the tent. Some point to a military explanation. Reports of glowing orbs in the sky that night have led many to believe the hikers stumbled into a secret Soviet weapons test, which would account for the radiation and the alleged cover-up that followed. Investigators are left to choose between freak natural occurrences that lack complete evidence, or military theories that rely on information that may never be released. Testing these theories against the physical evidence reveals conflicts. The avalanche theory explains the tent and flight, but not the radioactive clothing. The military theory explains the radiation, but there was no chemical residue, and injuries didn't match an explosion. The Dyatlov Pass remains an intellectual paradox. Proposing a solution for one set of forensic facts often causes the logic to break down when applied to the others. The hikers at Dyatlov Pass faced 2 forces: the predictable lethality of the sub-zero environment and a set of circumstances that don't follow standard patterns of survival. After 6 decades and the application of modern forensic tools, we still do not have a single unified narrative that fully accounts for every physical fact found on that mountain. Take the evidence as a whole. Do you see a sequence of tragic natural events, or do you believe something was deliberately hidden? I'm interested to see your analysis in the comments. The incident at Dyatlov Pass serves as a reminder that even when we have the evidence right in front of us, the truth can remain just out of reach.